So welcome to another video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And welcome to our monthly debrief for May of 2022. So May was an interesting month because I was gone for half of it.
Well, I had COVID.
Yes, as well.
Which is not good. You had it in
I either
end of
had
April.
it end of April or the very beginning of May.
Yeah.
And then you got it after that.
I had it for a full week.
Unrelated, by the
Totally
way.
unrelated. Totally unrelated.
Yeah, and then I flew to the UK on holiday for a bit as well. So it was... We played 2 war games in May, I think.
It's not a lot.
No.
We normally play at least 3 or 4, maybe even 5.
Yes.
So we only played 2 together, but...
That doesn't mean we didn't play a lot.
Yeah, that being said, we played other games. I played multiple solo games. You played several solo games.
Yeah, and I went to a convention when I was in the UK, played a bunch of games there as well.
So we got a lot of gaming in, just not necessarily together.
Yes.
Which is fine.
But it was nice, today I've been home for about a week now. Mm-hmm. It has been nice to kind of sit down and start playing war games again.
Yeah.
Together. Because it had been 3 weeks at least.
Yeah, it kind of, with COVID and then with you leaving, because you were in UK for 2 weeks, right?
Effectively, yeah.
Yeah. So there was 3 weeks that we didn't play.
And then this is like... we're filming this on a Friday night. It's almost a whole nother week. So it's almost 4 weeks.
It's been a while.
Like calendar days. Yeah, it's been a long time.
My weekends seemed longer. Don't take that the wrong way. My weekends seemed like longer and more restful.
Yeah,
because I wasn't doing this stuff.
Because we're not doing this,
right? I was just doing stuff with my family.
Who needs
going outside, doing walks, doing park stuff. It was an interesting break. It was kind of a nice break.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But it was a working break. We still got stuff done.
And now we're back to the grind.
Yeah, we are. And it's not a bad thing. Doesn't feel like a job. It's fun.
No, it doesn't.
But we're just back to it like, hey, we need to do this again. We need to get back to every week. So
yes.
And I kind of miss it. I do. I missed I missed you for a while.
Oh, all right.
And, I know. And I miss gaming.
Yeah.
I played a lot of games myself, but it's just different.
Yeah, I played a lot of non-war games with people whilst I was there, some of which were fun.
You went to the UK Game Fest.
Yeah, right? But even my family plays a lot of games.
Okay.
So I played a lot of games with them as well. And the time did not allow. I was trying to do some miniature war gaming with my brother, but I'd even taken some stuff over. No,
James, right?
Yeah.
I like James. He's a good guy.
I'd made some battle group armies. I'd taken over some sci-fi miniatures to play A Billion Suns, but we didn't have time to do it all.
Yeah,
it was a lot. So that was a shame. So let's talk about what we did play in the month of May. And we'll start with...
Let's start with what we played together.
Yes. So the big one that we played, and by big, I mean volumetrically, this box is huge, is...
And full of content.
Point Blank V's for Victory. We did our first to ever kind of a live playthrough streaming.
We've got the rig set up right here.
Which was just horrendous. Full of rules mistakes.
And I was embarrassed.
So maybe don't watch that to learn the game.
Yeah,
because this game is much better than we made it out to be.
But I hope that through watching that 2.5-hour playthrough that you got a feel for what the game is. That's I think what...
Yeah.
Take all the negative Nellies. I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah.
The rules lawyers, the negative Nellies. I was actually starting to get sick. I was coughing a little bit. You had already had it, so I know it wasn't for... Anyway... That's why I don't like playing live games and recording.
Yeah, we don't do a lot of that for that reason.
And when you play it for the first time, it's really challenging to do that.
And this had been a long time. But yeah, we played this. This game is so good. One of my favorites of the year so far.
I love it.
And there's just an unconscionable amount of stuff in this box also. So it's well worth the investment if there's something you want to get into.
The thing I liked about it is we played that night. We played like a 45-minute to an hour long scenario just to kind of get warmed back up. And then we jumped in and played that 2-hour scenario.
Yeah, it was a big one.
We played a short one, then we played a longer one. And there were so many more in there that we didn't explore.
There's a million scenarios in here. There's a scenario generator. There's as much game in here as you could want there to be, basically.
And what is the game? It feels a lot like Lock and Load Tactical. If you know Lock and Load Tactical, it's Lock and Load Tactical with cards, not necessarily counters on a map.
Kind of like an upfront style.
Yeah.
With the way the cards and the geography kind of layout looks, at least.
It's very cool. It's a unique, interesting game. I really liked it. We did a review, we did a playthrough.
There's more stuff coming on this because I'm going to do this
Solo.
solitaire at some point as well. Just, that was great. We spent a long time playing this. It was really good fun.
I think I got here that afternoon. I think at 4 we started playing. I don't think I left till midnight. So
yeah, we played it a bunch of times, recorded some
Had a good
video on
time.
it. Yes.
The other game we played, I think was it the week before?
Yeah, this was very early in the month.
This is the week before we played Salerno 43. This is Mark Simonich's 40 series, right? Holland 44, Normandy 44, Ardennes 44, Stalingrad 42, and Salerno 43. So, really great game on the Salerno invasion of Italy. I love it. Small game, one map, very low counter density, which is a hallmark of this system.
But this one's a one mapper, basically a half mapper.
Yeah.
And
you have like 30 or 40 counters at the most on the board.
It's low counter density, but it's just like fewer counters because it's a smaller game as well.
Yeah. Such a good game. We played the 8-turn avalanche scenario, I think is what it was called.
Which is pretty much the only way you're going to play this game.
Yeah, because the other one's like 20.
It's 20, but like
turns.
It's 12 turns of mopping up.
Yeah.
Like it's,
you
could do it.
I've read some stuff like Joel Toppin. He says it comes down to the wire, even though it's a lot more German falling back the last 6 to 8 turns. He says it's compelling all the way through. So,
and I'm sure it is. These are well-designed games. But
and our game,
you can do that 8-turn scenario, and it's like a full game, and it's meaty.
Yeah, our game came down to the last roll or two, which was very cool. Felt impactful the whole time. I thought every decision we made was important. Your avenues of attack are pretty clear for the Allies. It's just getting it done. Yes. Right? You got a bunch of panzers coming down out of the mountains, and it's pretty brutal. So, great game. Really enjoyed this. I wrote a first impression post on this. I think we did a video review. This might have been a good one to do a playthrough. We did an AAR video turn by turn. Really liked this. Glad we played it. Can't wait to maybe play more in the system. They're doing 2 other Italian campaign games. I think the next one is the Gustav Line, like Monte Cassino, and then the third one would be the Drive on Rome.
And
right?
Are they all going to be stacked together in the future? Do we know?
What does that mean?
Like, are you going to be able to play all 3 of those games?
I'm sure you could.
That'd be fun.
Kind of play it through, reset, play it through, reset. Yeah, I'm sure you could. Yeah, very cool. Love the system. Mark Simonich is amazing.
That was the only 2 games we played together in May.
Yeah, that was it. It was a short month, and yeah.
So on Solitaire, I played this game. Yes, this is the game. So this is Firebase Vietnam, and this is from C3I34. I also played Roman Disaster at Toytenberg, which is from C3I35.
Was it a disaster?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Not the game, but rolling the dice.
If anyone says they've won that game, they're lying.
They're absolutely liars.
It snowballs at the end very quickly. I was like, I'm doing really well. And then you're like, I died.
It's over.
Almost immediately. It was great.
And you know what? That's the hallmark of a good solo game.
Yeah.
It lulls you into false sense of security, and then it slams you to the mat.
This one, very much the same way. You're like, oh yeah, I'm doing it, and you're like, I'm 1 space away from victory, and when you get to that space, all of the Viet Cong show up, and you just die. Like, great. So these are very light little magazines that come extra in C3I magazine. It's not necessarily why you would buy the magazine, but you just kind of get it.
An extra. Pascal Tupi is the designer.
Yes.
And I think he has a bigger game coming, not just these smaller games, but
I don't know. I appreciate. I love that magazine anyway. I love what you get in it, and now you get an extra little solitaire game as well. So I actually made a review and also a playthrough of those. Like, this is a 15-minute game almost. and so those are coming in the future as well.
So we played quite a few solitaire games.
Yeah, I played a couple of those this month. That was fun.
Well, I did some solo gaming. Here, let me put this up here. So I played 3 solo games. And actually shot some playthroughs and video reviews, and I've written some content on these games.
All of this stuff is coming in the future. It's all scheduled.
So Siege of Syracuse, 414 BC from Worthington Publishing. This is a 1 or 2 player game. So it's set up to do solo, but you can also play 2 player. Uses a very cool order system where you have 7 different orders. If you play solo, you're playing as the attacking Athenians, fighting against the defending Syracusan troops. Very cool. Really like it. It's a challenge, but it's winnable. I like that it's winnable, but it is challenging. If you don't do the right things in the right order and do them well, you're going to lose. I really like this one. I'd like to play this 2-player with you because it will remind you of 1759 Quebec.
That was my question.
Yeah.
This is part of the Great Sieges system. Yeah. So is it a similar type
it's
of
similar.
thing,
This one is very unique because you end up building walls. Okay. So you're actually, as the Athenians, they did what's called a circumvalent wall.
Little castle ones?
Yep, they're little castle walls.
That's so cool.
They're actually, well, they're not on here, but they're in the box. But they were trying to build a wall from ocean to ocean, cutting off the city of Syracuse, and then doing a blockade around it. They didn't get that done, but that's what you're trying to do in the game. So it's pretty cool. It's different. It's unique. It has a very cool thematic element, feels like a siege game. Really liked it. So that was one I played. The other one, and I talked about this one last month, Irish Freedom. Played it a whole bunch more. I did a video playthrough and a review. Really enjoy this game. I'm not going to say this is the deepest game out there. Pretty simple, fairly basic, but it's unique and challenging. It's on the Irish Civil War and the Irish War of Independence. So it's very cool. 1918, 1925. Really enjoyed it.
So I know you'd said that the Irish Revolution was kind of a simple game, and you were hoping to play the Civil War game.
I did end up playing it.
And was that...
It was a little more challenging because you add some more units.
Okay.
There's a couple of additional rules, and you actually have a couple more actions. In the first game, you only have 2 per turn. The next game, you have 3. So it's 1 more action.
Would you say that was a bit more challenging, a bit better?
I liked it. I liked them both. The Civil War is harder to win than the War of Independence. Okay. But I enjoy them both. And the second one has armored cars and artillery, so
who doesn't like that?
That's kind of cool. And when they die or you kill theirs, they just flip to your side. So you take the armored car off and you put your. Awesome. It's kind of cool. So Irish Freedom from White Dog Games. Check it out, but you'll see a lot of video content. I was a busy boy when you were gone. 1565, Siege of Malta. In the Great Sieges series, just like Syracuse, this one is tough. This is a solitaire-only game. You can't play it 2-player. It's not designed that way. But the unique thing about it is you can play the attacking Ottomans, or you can play the defending Knights of St. John, the Christians. In my opinion, very easy to win as the Knights. I've won almost every time I've played it as the Knights, and really haven't broken a sweat. To me, that's the way you learn the game. I learned the game from that. You want to be challenged, you play as the Turks. Very tough. Haven't even come close to winning. That's not true. I came close to winning, but I really wasn't close. Close yet so far away. Yeah. Kind of that. Yeah. I was right there, but there was just no way to get it done. So, very cool game. I wrote a first impressions post on this. I think this is a very excellent game. Maurice Suckling, who did Freeman's Farm and Chancellorsville.
That was excellent.
Very good designer who has a very unique grasp on certain mechanics. This one, he takes your choices away. He gives you 7 orders, but every time you use them, you have to mark them used. So you have to use almost all your orders or spend one of your aggressive commander actions to reset your orders. You've only got that 4 times. So that's cool. I like choice, and I also like a game that takes that choice away. That's what this does, I think, in spades. So very cool game. Really sad that we can't play this one 2-player, but Syracuse we can. And 30 minutes. It's a quick game.
Right.
So anyway, that was my busy month of solitaire gaming. I also, I did play one time Malta Besieged, States of Siege series from Worthington, but I played it like 5 times in June, so it'll be a June game.
Okay. So, other games that I played. So, I flew to the UK, and then with my family, just kind of incidentally, we played Foundations of Rome.
That big, like, area building game. You're kind of building monuments and different things.
The box is the same size as Descent 3rd Edition.
Okay, so it's huge.
And it's just trays of big plastic buildings, or resin buildings. It's a...
But is it fun?
I did enjoy it. Okay. For what it is.
Yeah, it's not a war game
I would not have paid the hundreds of dollars to own it.
Got it.
But...
Who did pay to own it?
Nathan and Terry have kicked back on Kickstarter like just two years ago or something like that. They didn't even remember how much it was. But like, because they play with a bunch of people in London, and it's like they almost can't take it out because everyone's like, oh, gotta play it. Like, it's a very popular game.
So they don't end up playing anything else.
Yeah, or it's like they don't want to take it to a convention because they don't want everyone's grubby mitts on it, basically, because everyone wants to play it because it looks so cool. Good, and to play is enjoyable.
Our friend Josh got it.
Yeah, so
we unfortunately couldn't play with him that weekend.
But yeah, well, it doesn't overstay its welcome, which is what I appreciate about it. It does not take a long time to play, but it's putting out buildings, and it's all about the geometry of where you put them, and you can replace your own buildings, and you might get bonuses for being next to certain types of buildings, and so you're like, ooh, I'm next to a bunch of those buildings, and everyone's like, they've replaced their buildings with different ones, and so now you're not getting any bonuses. But you have to replace small buildings with bigger and bigger and bigger ones, so progressively there comes a point where you can't replace those. And so it's a neat little game. It's
overproduced,
huge.
Right?
Sure, but if it was just tiles, I would have no interest. That's the reality of it.
Right.
Like, I'm a sucker for that kind of thing. So
are those 3D printed?
I think they're resin cast ones. They're very nice.
Okay.
So I played that. That was enjoyable. We also played. I think it's called Bristol 1350.
Okay.
It's a little game that comes in a book type box. You open it up, and it's about escaping Bristol ahead of the Black Plague.
Oh, okay.
And so
interesting.
We played it with like 6 or 7 of us, and there's these little plastic carts, and you've got people in the carts.
Oh no!
And you're trying to move your carts out. So you roll some dice, and there's some symbols that match the colors of the different carts, and you're moving them. Or if you get multiple rat symbols, then you're spreading the plague within your cart because you're mingling too much. And so you have your little hidden cards of how much plague you have.
Okay.
And if you have over 6, you get the plague, and then you're like infected.
Got it.
And so everyone's trying to get out of the city and be healthy. And so if you're like, if we can trust each other that we're both healthy, even though we're hiding our cards, we can try and get out together and we'll win.
Okay.
But one of you's lying because you have
infected.
The plague, probably. Because if you have the plague, you're just trying to make sure everyone else dies with you as well.
It's kind of a hidden traitor.
Yeah, hidden traitory, racing type game. It's thematically quite silly, but it was very fun.
Where's Bristol?
Bristol, it's on the west coast of England.
So by Wales,
southwest, kind of.
Okay. Bristol, Tennessee is like where there's a NASCAR track there.
Yes.
So they stole the name,
reappropriated it. But that was a fun game to play.
Okay.
Then let's see. I think that was the only games that I played at home.
With your family.
Because then I went to the UK Games Expo, which there is a big video. I did a debrief of that, kind of talking about some of the things.
Did you buy any stuff?
I bought a bunch of dice.
Okay, because you can't lug a lot.
And I
of
did
home.
buy one game, which hilariously, where did I put it?
You can't find it. Well, it's in your video.
Oh yeah, it's upstairs because I was playing it with my son.
So the Rogue,
Mini Rogue.
Okay,
which is a great game from Nuts Publishing. It's a fun little solitaire and or 2-player co-op dungeon crawling game.
Nice.
But there I played Quartermaster General 1914. Very good.
Was it really?
Very fun, and it was nice because I've read the Cold War rule book.
Yeah, we have Cold War.
But playing it was nice to kind of like, okay, this is how it works.
Yeah,
it's great. It was very simple. It was very fun, little tense game, and so that was enjoyable. And so I'm like, I'll be very confident playing the ones that we have of that. Played some kind of little family games. We played Dogfight. Which is the next in the series of kind of Blitzkrieg and Caesar.
From PSC Games.
Yeah, from PSC Games.
So a 20-minute small box game, dogfighting.
It's a 10-minute game at most.
Nice.
One of our games, we timed it and it was like 2.5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Because I was not very good at that game. It's a simultaneous... You reveal your chits, and
action,
then those
selection.
are flying maneuvers that you're doing, trying to catch each other and shoot each other down. It's fun. They walked me through how to play Brett Wilder.
Yeah.
But I did not get to play it because the demos were all filled up.
Okay.
Very popular.
Well, I've looked over the rule book, so we're ready to go. This weekend we're playing a 4-player game.
Yeah, the guys.
So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, the guys over at Phalanx, James Buckley, he sat down and we played through a few turns of Iron Blood, Snow and Mud. This one's a ways away, I think this is going to be maybe a 2023 release.
Well, it's not a Kickstarter or a Game Found. It's like a pre-order. Aren't they taking like pre-orders? So it's almost like a P500 without being a P500.
Yeah, but it's their P2
250 or something.
Like this is a really good two-player tactical puzzly game.
Well, we'll have to play it.
Yes.
What? 40 minutes? 45 minutes?
An hour.
Okay.
But most of that hour is you sitting there racking your brains of how to do what you need to do.
Okay.
Very low counter density. No reinforcements for the Germans.
Okay.
And so, like, when you lose a tiger tag, you're like,
uh-oh, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Well, when I saw pictures of it, I immediately thought of the Russian Front by GMT. What's that game called?
No Retreat?
Yes, No Retreat, the Russian Front.
Yes.
Small counter density, similar style and layout, but a totally different style of game.
Very,
That's
very
Hex
different
Encounter,
system. It was so cool.
Okay.
I was like thinking about this for hours after we were done playing it.
Well, I'm glad we have a prototype. We can definitely play it.
That was really cool. The guys at PSC kind of talked about, we didn't get to play, but they had Rome Total War, the board game.
Oh, I want to play that so badly.
I cannot tell you. They like walked me through some of the details of what they've got, and I'm like,
it's going to be fun.
Yes.
Well, we love those kind of big civilization building games, and that one looks like it's, I mean, Rome Total War.
Yes.
It's not going to be like Clash of Cultures where if you fight, you're doomed.
So, isn't that the number one complaint that we have about those styles of games?
Yeah, because if you fight, you're going to kill yourself. You're literally going to grind yourself into the ground.
Those ancient Civ dudes on a map style games are almost always won by someone with an economic victory.
Yep. Well, you beat up on the barbarians, but anybody that goes after other players, it's like a free-for-all on them.
Well, and because as soon as you attack someone, you're not weak. You're not doing your economy, and everyone who is just doing their economy
is a step ahead. Yep. Agreed.
The one thing that they said is you get victory points for winning battles. And I'm like, yep, that's enough for me to be like, thank goodness that's a viable option.
So I would say in Clash of Cultures, you also can get victory points for winning battles. There are those cards, but they're less frequent and it's kind of random when you get them.
Whereas when you win a major battle, you get 2 victory points. If you can axe a leader, you get a point.
It'll be more of a Civ building game that's focused on combat.
It at least incentivizes you to do some combats and stuff.
I'll probably really like that one.
I've got a lot of high hopes, and they were like, oh, you resolve combat through dice, but they also have a card combat resolution if you want to get a bit more granular.
Okay.
And they were also like, and at some point, there's going to be like, you can have a tactical board with miniatures.
Oh, wow.
And like, go like, and use it almost as like a campaign map. I'm like,
oh wow. Cool.
I think that's a ways away, but
the map looks huge. I mean, it's the Mare Nostrum, Mediterranean.
It just looks so great.
Yeah.
They had 4 different cultures on display, but they had they had a list of like 3 or 4 others at least which have developed.
So there's some options.
Different asymmetric tech trees. I'm very excited for that one.
Okay. So what else did you play?
What else did I play? We played that. They walked us through the new Kingmaker.
Okay. Yeah.
Looks amazing.
Okay.
I'm absolutely 100% sold on that.
Is that going to go to Kickstarter later this year?
They said, the poster said August, but I think it's going to be September.
Okay, so it'll be next year. So
yeah, when that comes out, that's like an
auto
insta-back basically with what they're doing with it. It looks so good. Like we now don't have to like fix Crown of Roses because Kingmaker's going to do it.
Got it.
Basically.
Nice.
What else did we play? There's a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm trying to think. It was just constant because I sat down with Florent, who owns Nuts Publishing.
Yeah, I know Florent.
And he just showed me all the stuff they have in the works.
They have several things in the works.
A lot of stuff going on. Their new Port Arthur game. He like walked me through how that works, but then he showed me the new artwork that they've got, which is like, do you remember like the artwork and the color palette from Nemo's War? It's kind of like that.
Okay.
Where they've had a board game artist design a war game map, and so it is gorgeous.
Nice.
In a very different style.
Okay.
But the game is a very tense little, one of those small 300 style games.
Okay.
It's in that series.
Okay.
So just...
What's that called? Combat Rations, I think that series is.
Yeah. He had it under a little French name, so I couldn't remember
what
it was.
Yeah.
But
It's Combat Rations.
Because he showed me that. They got a Norway.
It's like victuals or something. There's something,
They got a Norway one coming after that, which looks amazing. Just they had a bunch of cool
like a
stuff.
Winter War type.
Yes.
Okay, Finland, Norway.
Well, it's just Norway, but it's the German powers landing and trying to sail their boats out, and then in the Royal Navy blockading and doing a few counterattacks. Very, very cool little game. He showed me their Battle of Mosul game that's coming out. We're Coming Nineveh. That looks fun.
Okay.
Just, here's your 30 points to build your army with. You get to go through cards and build your army, and then you have to fight and take... And the victory conditions change based on how you're choosing to fight and how the enemy's choosing to defend, things like that. Very neat stuff that's in the works.
Nuts Publishing is an interesting little company.
Yeah.
They have some really interesting games.
Yeah, and they've got some big stuff coming in the works.
Was Shankos there, by chance?
I did not see them there. I don't think they were
That's a good little French company.
Yeah. But, I probably played some other stuff, but I don't really remember offhand. Okay. But it was great to go to another expo and see, different dice companies, right?
Sure, yeah.
So I bought like a bunch of different dice from a company called Dice Goblin. Okay. I bought some like LED flashing dice because I'm a psychopath.
Yeah.
But they were fun. It was cool to bring those home.
Well, you definitely need some new dice because your dice in our Pathfinder campaign are garbage.
Just the worst, right?
Yeah. And they're like plus 17 to hit and you're missing.
Yeah, and
I just don't understand
I have a fighter and I just can't hit with my sword.
Yeah.
So it's like, great. So I bought a bunch of new dice. Hopefully that rectifies that. But I think no, it won't. But that's generally, I think, I'm probably forgetting some things, but that's mostly what I played that month as well. It was a lot. It was intense.
Sounds like it.
So that's what we played in May, June, going forward into June.
Well, we've got a lot of games that we would like to play.
Yes.
In fact, many more than we probably will get. One will be probably Iron Blood, Snow and Mud.
Yeah, because this doesn't take long, and we can just kind of bash it out. I know the rules and how to play it, so it's an easy kind of learning.
So we'll play a bigger game, and then we'll... So I know tomorrow we have some friends coming over. We're going to play... we're going to play Brett Waldo. I'll show you that here in a minute. We're going to play potentially Corrupt Bargain. This is from Decision Games.
Yeah.
Al Berry... 1824 presidential election, very cool concept. I like the way the map looks. I heard some comments on the unboxing. Oh, I hate it when designers do this to the map. You got to make it a playable game, so they chop the map up to make it. You're focused on these 10 states.
If it's kind of skewed in a way, I'm like, how are you ever going to play Empire of the Sun?
Yeah,
so that stuff's very abstract.
But Corrupt Bargain is one I'm hoping we're going to play tomorrow because it's a 4-player game.
Yeah, and it's 2 to 4, so if we can play it at 4, that would be a very interesting thing
Absolutely.
to do as well, I think.
We're also going to try to play, in fact, we've already played it.
Yes.
Burial Tide, The Great War 1914 to 1918 from Compass Games. This is by Greg Smith.
You were back into World War I.
Back into World War I. Felt like it was Guns of August all over again. Look at that cover. I just think it's fantastic. Very good game. Really enjoyed this, so we're going to play this one. We're going
to play that in June.
We are going to play that in June. I've already played Malta Besieged at the end of May, but I've played it several times in June, and I'm going to do ultimately a video review and a playthrough. Fantastic States of Siege game. Very similar to Keep Up the Fire, where you have multiple plates that you're spinning. You're not just dealing with the 4...
No, there's the tracks.
No, not the tracks just coming in. You've also got the war in the desert, fighting over Tobruk and El Alamein, and Rommel's coming in. You've got convoys you're trying to get in to get resupply. Very cool. I really like this game. This one takes about an hour and 15 minutes, but it's a very good game. I'm going to play this a bunch more and
Is this also a remake, or is this a new
This is a deluxe edition.
Okay.
Deluxe edition of the original Malta Besieged.
That's one I'd also like to dig my teeth into and give a go as well.
So when I'm done with it, I'll hand it over and you can...
States of Siege are always fun.
Yeah, they're never not bad. They're all unique and interesting and different. I mentioned Brett Walda. We're going to play this with Russ Wetley and his blog mate, Jacob Gardis, I think his name is. Sorry if I butchered your name. But Brett Walda, this is a... kind of middle-age England.
Yeah, this is
4 different kingdoms fighting for...
area control, dudes on a map style game.
You're building mead halls and granaries, and other things and trying to develop your culture, and then you're going out and you're fighting.
Yeah, and it's done through seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So different seasons, different things happen, or your different actions are available to you. At most, you have 24 actions in the whole game.
Yeah, so it's
it's a very
you have to
tight
maximize
action
it.
economy of what you're trying to do, and it looks
it's
beautiful as well.
I mean, you can see the cover.
It's a very period thematic piece.
Yeah. Leo Solivier is the gentleman's name that designed this. I did an interview with him. It'll be on the blog next week. But yeah, the Game Found is coming up. The Game Found campaign's starting pretty soon.
It was fascinating talking to the Phalanx guys, because they were like, yeah, the designer just rolled up with us with all the artwork finished and basically had a finished game.
Oh, wow.
Where... and then Florent from Nuts was like, yeah, sometimes I just get an email with like, oh, someone has an idea for a game, and it's like, that's nothing.
Yeah, right.
So
that's funny.
I think this has been a labor of love for the designer, and hopefully that shows through in the game where like it is like fully baked when he gave it to them basically, and they've tweaked it here and there.
Well, I've looked over the rules. It looks very good. It's not necessarily a true war game, but there's a lot of fighting in it. But it's about fighting. It's about area control.
And if I'm not playing war games, this is the style of game that I enjoy.
Historically based, a little bit of a Civ build type experience.
Like that kind of stuff.
It looks very cool. So I'm very excited about that. That's a prototype. The other game we're hoping to play tomorrow is a non-war game, right?
Isn't it, though?
Well, it maybe is. You're fighting the Thing from outer space, right? So this is the Thing, the board game from Ares. Damn, I'm excited about this game. Got this about 3 or 4 weeks ago. This is a brand new game for 2022. I mean, look at the art, and you have miniatures for the Thing.
Is it miniatures?
Yes, for several different phases. This is a classic hidden style cooperative game, and I'm so excited about it.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite all-time sci-fi properties.
One of the best.
McCready. I mean, it's just amazing. Very excited about this. We are playing this tomorrow. I don't care what anybody
I just want to
says.
pour my coffee on the computer.
Well,
when
exactly.
I lose chess.
Exactly. So that's the games. I think we have 1 or 2 more that you've got.
So
we have an ambitious month coming.
But
like we always do.
Tomorrow's going to be a big day. We're going to play probably
3 or 4 games.
3 or 4 games, good chunk of them. So I also have a prototype of Halls of Hegra. This is from Tompet Games. They're a company based out of Norway, I believe. No, I've said that.
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it is. If it's not, I apologize. It's a
Donning the Purple. It's a
European company. They did Donning the Purple, which was a very fun 3-player Roman game.
What was that other game
It was called...
That was an interesting game. I know you didn't like it very much. I thought it was interesting. No. It was simple.
That was different. That was Linden Lake Games.
That was Linden Lake Games. Totally different company. Sorry.
No.
Scratch that. Reverse it.
Yes. We'll get all our Scandinavians mixed up.
Yeah.
So, Halls of Hegra. Yeah.
It's Norway, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And if it's not, I'm very sorry. I'm pretty sure it is.
I'm positive.
But I don't have any of this stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm not so positive.
I'm second guessing myself now.
Yeah.
Beautiful artwork. This is a solitaire-only game in the style of Robinson Crusoe. Where it's like, you're trying to... It's a bit of a tower defense, trying to fend off things, keep all the green lights on, keep all the plates spinning.
Okay.
But as you make choices, some of the things get seeded into your little deck of cards, or there's consequences of those that come out later.
Yeah.
So, if you don't kill the tiger now, the tiger's going to come back and eat you later. Okay. That kind of a thing. But in this setting. So I'm very interested I got to go print out the rules.
Okay.
But gosh,
when is this going to Kickstarter? Do you know? Is like next month or the month after? I
think it's end of July or August. So this is a bit of a ways away, but I'll get a video out for this hopefully as soon as possible. And so
it looks
I'm
awesome.
To get this played soon as well. Yeah, it looks great.
I like that company. So don't forget Pack War.
Oh yeah, it's so big.
Don't get a hernia. Have you even started clipping that?
No,
I didn't think so.
So
then how are we going to play it this month?
Because
that's like 75,000 counters.
We've already played Imperial Tide.
Okay.
Everything else we're going to play tomorrow, or is Solitaire.
All right.
And so this is the only game we have to play for the rest of the month.
And we've talked about it. We're going to kind of do 3 or 4 of the smaller one map, one
Yeah.
section of a map, scenarios.
Trying to do some of the learning stuff on it and kind of ease ourselves into it.
I want to do a naval attack. I want to do an air naval. I want to do a land. I want to, I want to do
combining that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's plenty of stuff on Pack War out there. I think this has got a lot of kind of buzz right now.
Oh yeah.
People are enjoying it. People are getting into it. It's beefy. It's meaty. There's a lot to digest in here, and apparently a lot of it's very, very good. So I'm excited to play some of this. I'll clip some of these smaller introductory scenarios, and we'll probably dive into some of this month, which I'm very excited about.
Sorry, I was looking at this map, and I was remembering what your tactic was, trying to suck me in. And I'm like, nope, didn't bite. Anyway, very excited about the month of June.
Yes.
Very excited about it. I think there's a lot of great opportunities for us to have some fun gaming moments, and I really look forward to it.
So I think that's everything that we played in May, everything we got in June.
What's on Kickstarter?
What is on Kickstarter? That's a great question.
Well, as I mentioned, Brett Waldo will be coming to GameFound starting next week. This video will probably post early next week.
I'll try and do it as soon as possible, frankly.
But it's coming to GameFound. Another one, Wars of Religion from Fellowship of Simulations. Mm-hmm. It's a up to 3-player game on the Wars of Religion in France, like in the late 1500s.
Looks very cool.
Looks very cool. Card-driven game. We have a prototype. I do not believe we're going to get a chance to play that prototype.
Yes.
It was given too late, and the campaign starts too soon. Those are the ones that I am aware of. I do know there's several others that are coming up next month. But those are kind of the only two that I'm aware of at this moment.
Yeah, I'm sure there's more out there, so let us know in the comments of things that are going on. Help everyone else kind of know what other kind of games are out there.
I know DVG also has one of their reprint campaigns going on. Kickstarter, they have, I think you can get Pavlov's House.
Oh yeah, they're doing the big Valiant Defense series.
Soldiers in Postman's Uniforms. I know those two are being offered. I think they're doing Thunderbolt Apache expansion 1, 2, and 3, and a couple of other things. So check that out. DVG always has very interesting solo games, and they sell them out pretty quick.
And isn't Old School Tactical 2nd edition coming out?
I think you're right. Yes, I'm not sure when though.
It's coming soon, if not very soon.
Okay.
I know, and it's not just a reprint.
Got it.
That's like
they always throw in like a small pocket model,
but it's like totally redone the rulebook,
right?
So it's in line with the Volume 3 stuff.
Yeah.
Much cleaner, much clearer. Mm-hmm. Tidied up all the errata.
We love that
probably
system.
New scenarios.
Always have a great time with that system, frankly.
That's
really
I think that's in the works, coming very soon as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's everything that I'm confident is going to Kickstarter or is on there right now.
I do want to throw one kind of selling point. Our blog, if you aren't following our blog, I know a lot of you watch our videos. I do mostly the blog. There's a lot of good stuff on it, from designer interviews to small first impression posts. I really put a lot of work and effort into it. If you guys haven't checked it out, check out theplayersaid.com. I really enjoy doing it. I don't think it does as well as our YouTube channel, but that's okay. It's a companion, and they work together, so I will continue to do it. I haven't been able to do it as much as I used to. I was a nut job for about a year where I did post 6 or 7 days a week, which was absolutely stupid. But anyway, check it out if you haven't. I wanted to just put a plug in for that. So.
No, absolutely. So I think that concludes that part of the video. And so
we're 45 minutes in.
Oh no.
I think. Right?
It might be 35.
Okay. Maybe I was reading it wrong.
It could be 45. I can't see.
Yeah.
But it could be a long time. So, we'll move on to the kind of like the main topic.
The main event.
Of this month's video. Mm-hmm. And the topic was suggested to us by one of our patrons, Stefan Slade. So very grateful for his suggestion on that. If you would like to have the opportunity to suggest topics for us to talk about, that is open for our $5 level patrons or above. I make a post every month. And
asking for input.
People put in their suggestions, and we usually pick one from that list. So if that's some input you'd like to have from us, that helps to support this channel. We're very grateful for all of our patrons. you're all rock and help to make this work, and we're very grateful for your support.
Thank you.
But if you want to have the opportunity to do that, that's the way that you can kind of get in on that action.
And we read through the different suggestions, and there were quite a few that were very good.
Yeah.
They're all good.
It's tough picking one, though,
it is.
sometimes.
There were a couple I was like, ooh, that'd be really fun to talk about for 30 or 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think the one we chose tonight ultimately will be an interesting one. Hopefully people will enjoy it.
Wow.
So.
And there were some really good ones that were in our patron Slack channel as well.
Oh, okay.
Bill Simone put in some goals. I'm like,
okay.
Ooh. So we might might be having a chat about some of those.
Okay.
But
we only do this once a month. So.
Yes, sadly. So the topic for today's discussion was: were there any games that inspired you to go to visit battlefields or historical sites, or conversely, did you go into historical sites that then kind of inspired you to play games about those events and things like that? So, I've been to a number of historical sites over the course of my life. Mm-hmm. Sadly, I've been to very few since we've been into wargaming, is genuinely something that I would say.
I'm not sure I've been to many at all over the past 4 or 5 years.
Right.
It's been a while.
But
I am going, my wife and I and our children are going to Washington, D.C. in July, and I hope to cover quite a few. I'd love to go to George Washington's home and some other historical sites. Maybe even Gettysburg on the way back. So
that'd be cool.
But anyway, yeah, I don't know that I go and visit a lot of sites. I would love to. I really would.
And so that's probably what this is going to devolve into, is into a kind of a wish list. This is something that we've talked about a number of times about.
We did tonight over dinner.
Yeah, doing kind of like some historical trips and tying in some wargaming to those things as well. And it's interesting because we've met some people. Think about Bill Molyneux, who does a lot of or used to at least do a lot of reenactments.
Yeah, French and Indian War reenactments.
And at those places, he'd sell us war games. Things like Bloody Mohawk and some other smaller titles that he'd had. So there's a lot of wargaming that is very tied to some of these places as well, which is interesting. But I remember when I was a teenager, we went to we were on holiday in France, kind of in northwestern France, and then on the way home we stopped through kind of at the Normandy beaches, and so that was incredible. Even I don't know, I was like 16 at the time. You know, we'd all watched Saving Private Ryan, and I'd read Band of Brothers, the book at that time.
Yep.
Which, if you haven't read those books,
they're fantastic.
Stephen Ambrose's books are very good,
and the HBO series, both the Pacific and European theaters, are fantastic.
Yeah, but being atop those cliffs in Normandy, because we visited Omaha Beach. It's breathtaking, honestly, just to see how unforgiving the terrain and the landings were to start with, because the rock face hasn't changed.
Yeah,
that's
it's only been 78 years, right?
At exactly the same views as those people landing on those beaches were, and I'll be honest. Those gun emplacements atop those cliffs are all still there. Can't get rid of them.
Yeah.
To remove those would be, so much labor and tax money to do it that they just kind of leave them. So, you can go and walk around these huge naval gun emplacements that were pointing out across the channel, and it's just staggering just to kind of see how thick the concrete was, and it's all reinforced with rebar and stuff. And so, having been there and seen those things, when I play things like D-Day at Omaha Beach, or Crowbar from Flying Pig Games, anytime I'm playing games that are really focused on D-Day, especially the American beaches, because that's where we visited, I'm always taken back to my visits there, and it just feels that little extra bit real, almost. Because I'm like, this isn't just some, yellow and green and brown on a map. I know what that looks like. I know what the smell of the sea looks like. How high those cliffs were, what those gun emplacements would have looked like, and how small the beaches are in parts. It's incredible to see. So that's something that really came to mind And I'd love to go back there as well.
Yeah.
And maybe do more of that. Because we just kind of stopped off
Mm-hmm.
and had a look around for a few hours. And then there was a little museum that we went to and we had to go on our way.
Well, we talked about it earlier tonight. There's several areas. Normandy is very far away from Paris. It's kind of out in the country. It's not as developed, and it's not as... what's the word I'm looking for? There's just not as much concrete and roads, and there's a lot of different areas, right? There's the 5 beaches. There's St. Mary-Glisse, there's Pointe du Hoc, there's Cherbourg. I mean, you could spend 2 or 3 days.
You've got to get out there and do it.
Traveling around and seeing all that. That is something that I think you and I have talked about. We would love, someday down the future, to take a 3 or 4 day trip over to Normandy, potentially even go to, say, the Ardennes.
Yeah,
right?
you
see the Battle of the Bulge.
You could do Normandy and then travel across northern France, go into Belgium, do all of that, maybe go south down to Metz.
Yep.
I'd be very interested in that as well.
Yeah. I'd love to see the Maginot Line. I know there's still some of those emplacements there, and that would be an interesting thing for me. Because once again, you put your eyeballs on those things, you play these games, and all of a sudden it's going to give you a different perspective. And I know that both you and I enjoy... I think our penchant is to be attracted to World War II.
Sure, that's just
strategic level, operational level. I mean, even tactical war games. That's kind of that's what I grew up on, right? I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and everybody talked about that. Everybody was only 20, 25 years, in the past, 30 years in the past, but that's what I grew up on. So going to those battlefields would be a dream come true for me. And hopefully one day we will do that. Another kind of historical topic that we have played several games on, I've always been interested because I grew up in Indiana, kind of right in the middle of the Old Northwest. The Old Northwest kind of Indian Wars, where the new United States in the 1780s and 1790s kind of went out into the frontier of Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Michigan, and fought the natives and the British, right? A lot of times the British were allied because of the War of 1812, and we were still fighting them in that way, even though we won it, the American Revolution in the 1780s. But that series of games that we've played from Paul Rohrbaugh and High Flying Dice Games has made me want to go around to several of those sites. They're all very, very close. Kekionga, just north and east of here, about an hour and 45 minutes. That'd be a nice little day trip. On the way, we could divert over to the Battle of Tippecanoe. It's right there. Fallen Timbers is just kind of I think it's in northwest Ohio. Yeah. So we could kind of do all 3 of those. And those are games that we've played or looked at or have. And we could walk those battlegrounds. Now, they're not the commercial battlegrounds that some of the others are.
But isn't that almost better?
Well, it is, because you'll see what the wilderness was at that time.
I don't know. I like that aspect of it as
well. Those are 3 or 4 sites that I would really like to go see. We've played a couple other games, Pontiac's War. We have Blood on the Ohio. We have several of those games we haven't yet to play. But I would love to go to some of those sites, and that's something we can. Heck, you could take your son, I could take my daughters, and we could make a day trip out of it. Yeah. Literally leave early in the morning, and so that's something I would like to get to do. That Old Northwest kind of Indian Wars type thing. Another
local one that I think about regularly is we have Mound State Park just up the road.
Yep.
And I believe you played Mound Builders.
Yeah.
Little States of Siege game. So that's something where I'm like, I've only been here 10 years, and I've still not...
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
It is interesting in Indiana. There's quite a few of that Adena culture, Hopewell, in southwest Indiana, around the Evansville area. There's some very large mounds. Over in Ohio, there's Snake, I think it's called Snake Mound. And then you've got Anderson. So there are several areas that, once again, you could travel around and see some of those. Over by the Garden of the Gods in Illinois, there's also some native mounds and forts that could be could be visited. I'm very fortunate to have grown up in this area because there is a lot of that stuff around, having been the frontier. I mean,
and that's cool, but it's like local history.
Yeah.
And you get games about it.
Yeah.
There's really something to be said about that, because I think about where I grew up. Not a whole lot happened. Exactly, like
Sure.
Southampton was a commercial port for a long time. We built a whole lot of boats, a lot of places that sailed out of there, and it was bombed to high hill during World War II, and that's why the geography's disgusting. After they rebuilt everything in the 50s, it's horrible now.
Yeah.
But there's like the medieval bar gate and all the old city walls are kind of still intact and stuff. But there were not so many battles were fought there,
right?
So to speak. So there's not already
or at least
big games and that kind of a thing.
At least battles that you know about, really.
No,
I mean our history is fairly long and not all well documented.
But we've got when you go up to like Winchester, you've got the seat of King Alfred, which is it's fun to see that kind of stuff. And so then you can start getting into some of the Saxon history.
The Bretwald,
a bit further up there.
Mercia, Wessex. Yeah, that would be very interesting to go around and see those old. The other thing, we've played Pendragon. I love that game. It's a coin game. Morgan Guyon Rete. It really a fantastic game. That's all set there, and Londinium was one of the major cities. And it would be very cool to see some of that. The old Roman forts, the old Roman roads. I don't know. That'd be a good trip, too.
Yeah,
there's
a lot of that stuff. There's a ton of medieval stuff in the UK.
Yeah.
You're just like a stone's throw away from, a building that's nearly 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
Almost everywhere where you are, which is fun.
The United States of America has only been around for 240 years. There are buildings older than our country in Europe.
Oh yeah,
there are 1,000 to 2,000-year-old buildings.
Yeah, so
and it's just kind of funny. It's a different world, a different perspective.
Outside the back of Winchester Cathedral is Wolvesi Castle, which is an old where the bishop used to live, a big old palace mansion that was half a castle.
Yeah,
the thing was built in the 13th century.
Yeah,
it's a very different world when you go to Europe, because it's
been around for
the same old way. We go to France, same thing,
millennia.
Yeah. So there's a ton of stuff out there, but I think that's something that we want to do more of in the future.
Yeah, and actually, my son and I, a couple of years ago, we actually planned a trip to go to Lake Champlain and some of those forts up there. I think it was Fort Stanwix. I'm trying to think what's the big one. Ticonderoga. We had talked about driving to those, but it was like a 14-hour drive, and
that's a long way.
Ultimately, I think my son had some things to do that he couldn't get out of, so we nixed that. But I'd like to do that. I'd like to also go around and see some more of the American Civil War battlefields. I know that's something we talked about earlier tonight. We've played 3 or 4 games on that topic. Not something you're really interested in nor tied to.
Yeah.
I have more of an affinity for it because I grew up reading about it. And Ulysses S. Grant is named after me. That's, U.S. Grant. It's the other way around. But, there's so many Civil War battlefields. There's a ton. I've been to Chickamauga in Tennessee. I've been to the Battle of Franklin in Franklin, Tennessee. A couple of others that I've been to. But I lived in southern Indiana in Versailles, where Morgan's Raiders came across from Kentucky, Confederate Raiders, and burned several cities in the Civil War. So I've been to some of those places. I'd like to go to some more.
Is Versailles, Indiana?
It's Versailles.
Spelled Versailles, Indiana?
Yeah, it is. It's exactly the same. And in that same county is Milan, M-I-L-A-N.
Oh, Milan.
Milan.
You love it.
What's the other one? Napoleon. It's called Napoleon, but
okay.
It just very funny. I think they came over here. They just started picking cool names. There's a Bengal, Indiana, Bengal. Yeah, it's anyway.
Yeah, well, and that's something that I don't have the biggest interest in the American Civil War because it's something I don't have that strong a connection to.
Yeah,
but going and visiting those things might help to generate some of that interest. Seeing the terrain, the way that things were fought, reading a little bit more about it. Because, every battle that was ever fought has something interesting about it.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it was the people in it, or the way that they were fighting, or the things they were fighting over. There's always some element of interest because battles are almost never fought arbitrarily. There's always some point of interest in it, and
Yeah.
going there and finding out some of the history about it invariably sparks some element of interest in it as well. And so, I wouldn't be opposed to going and doing those kinds of things, and then, picking out, we've got all sorts of games.
Oh, yeah.
With,
on different time periods.
With great battles of the American Civil War and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And doing more gaming like in that way.
Yeah, I have also been, because of my mother coming from Orangeburg, South Carolina, I have been to areas where Sherman marched through South Carolina to the coast after burning Atlanta, and I've seen some of those areas. One of the roads that my mother grew up on was called Cannon Bridge Road, and Sherman literally marched down that road, building that road to drive their cannon down, and they just named it that. So I've been to some of those areas. I've been to, like I said, Battle of Franklin, which is very, very cool. I'd like to do more. I really would. I would like to do more. But I've also been to American Revolutionary War sites. Cowpens, Camden. Those are a couple of forts and areas where big battles were fought. And Charleston. I've been to Charleston. Charleston is a gorgeous city. I've seen both Fort Sumter, which was where the American Civil War started. I've also seen some of the other forts that were around during the Revolutionary War. So those are fun. I mean, that's fun. Paisley went with me, my wife, and she enjoyed it. She loves to hear me talk about it.
Having
she says she
done
does.
Those and seen those, does that help you to get into?
Oh, there's no
games
doubt.
It
has engendered that interest for that subject in me, and reignited it in some ways. You can't help but go there, feel the reverence, feel the spirit of whatever happened there, and then go away from it and not be interested. It's just the way it works. So I think if we went to all of those sites, it would bring the games to life. It would deepen our understanding. I would even like to take some of those maps. I mean, sometimes we have a map of a battlefield. I'd like to stand on Little Round Top and see how in the heck did the Maine did they hold there? How did Chamberlain make his little group of men hold there and stand on Cemetery Ridge? And I mean, I'd like to see all that stuff.
Yeah.
Pickett's Charge, and because once again, it helps that stuff come to life. I love watching the History Channel. I watched something on Teddy Roosevelt over Memorial Day weekend. Very cool. So a very cool president of the United States, by the way. Kind of a nut job in some ways, but he was pretty awesome.
Yeah, so I think, realistically, I'd like to do some local bits and pieces, but I think that we've kind of talked about in the future, and I think that's becoming more realistic.
Yeah.
Of, maybe going to Northern Europe, and doing some of those sites, maybe taking a couple games, and maybe playing some of those there. I don't know if that's
I would have to be...
I think in our hotel room.
I'd have to be careful about that. I would not want to be taking Normandy 44 and standing on Point... I don't know. It would feel odd. But yeah, taking it with us and maybe playing that in the
back at home
hotel
room.
I could see that.
I don't know.
Once again, playing it to understand what the terrain and the different... Yeah, absolutely.
When you because there's so much stuff. Because, I had two great uncles, one on each side of my family, both died at Monte Cassino.
Got it.
One was in artillery, one was engineer.
Okay.
I would love to go visit those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I know I had family who... I don't know if I should say this. I should. It's like a joke at this point, but there's a Klein family myth that there's some buried treasure on Crete. Because we had a relative that was in Greece, evacuated to Crete, and then they were all evacuated off of Crete in World War II. So there's apparently there's some buried chest of gold on
Do you have
Crete.
a treasure map?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. And is it even a real story?
Right.
Who knows? But seeing those kinds of places would be really cool as well. Cause
I'd like to go to Malta. We talked tonight about Malta besieged. 1565 Siege of Malta. Malta is one of those very small islands.
Yes.
Centrally located in the Mediterranean, really controlling approaches from east and west. I'd like to see that. I would.
Have you ever watched any documentaries or stuff on Malta?
I have.
It looks incredible. Because it's, 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
Like, they still have all these ancient buildings and all this stuff from the Crusades that's, like, still in use.
Yeah.
And they've got all, like, the naval fortresses and guns.
And it's beautiful there, right?
Yeah.
The ocean,
I would fully be down.
So that would be cool. I mean, that would be a different type of a trip because you'd go there for other reasons, but kind of pick that up
even further out.
That would be cool. But once again, history coming alive, I think, is one of the reasons that I play these games.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
I'm interested in a time period or a leader or a civilization, and we play those games, and I learn something about them. So going to those sites it's like the next logical step. And absolutely, I'd love to do that. And I think most of the people that are watching and listening are shaking their heads. Yeah, that's something I have done, want to do, would like to do in the future, blah, blah, blah.
So, let us know in the comments what was your favorite kind of historical or battle site that you went to. And that could mean anything, right?
Yeah.
Was it the one that meant the most to you? Was it the one that had the most special kind of a spirit about it? Mm-hmm. Was it the one that had the best and most interesting museum where you learned the most about it?
Yeah.
Or the one that just was the most fascinating to explore the geography?
Yeah.
Because there's so much out there, that we can't even possibly cover or even think about.
Well, and I forgot one other thing. My wife and I, for our 20th wedding anniversary, so 6 years ago, we're now on our 26th year, we went to Honolulu, Hawaii.
Oh,
and
yes,
we went to Pearl Harbor, and that was something I always wanted to do, and we did it. And you know what? It was fascinating. Walking through the little museum, going on the boat out into Pearl Harbor to see the sunken remains of the Arizona. The oil is still bubbling up, and will be for like 250 more years, because it only bubbles like half a gallon an hour or something, and there were millions of gallons.
It's a very small amount.
I'm over exaggerating, but it was very reverent. To me,
it's a cemetery. Right?
Yeah, it was very reverent. We also went to the Cemetery of the Pacific, which is basically where every American serviceman who died in that area was buried, particularly 50, 60, 70 years ago. They just didn't do things like now. Now we put them in the coffins, and we fly them over in a day, right? A day or two. And then it would have taken months, and it just wasn't feasible. So that was also very reverent.
Weirdly, I got to Hawaii.
Did you go to the Cemetery of the Pacific?
I didn't get to that.
Oh my gosh, Alexander, that place is amazing.
Yeah, I was only there for like 3 days, sadly, because I did do Pearl Harbor, do the Arizona, and it was
fantastic.
Yeah, it's almost indescribable.
Yep.
Really, the atmosphere there. And it's something else, but it's also an excellent museum.
Oh yeah,
they have I don't know if it's the real one or if it's like a copy of the draft of Roosevelt's speech.
Yeah,
you can't help but read that and be overcome with emotion.
Yeah,
about what was going on at that time. That was
the
a
day
very
that shall
very
live in infamy.
Yeah, and seeing him crossing out certain words and putting that stuff in, you're like, there's just so much. To appreciate in the displays that they've got there. It really is amazing.
It is fantastic. One other comment. You weren't here on Memorial Day, and actually
I was in the UK.
Nobody wanted to hear it this year, which I was disappointed. Every year at Memorial Day, typically what I do is I read either the Gettysburg Address or the Bixby Letter. Those to me are really symbolize what our country means and those who have given their lives and sacrificed. And that's why we celebrate Memorial Day. But I love to read that. This year I didn't do it. Our sister-in-law, Vandy, texted Pacey, why didn't Grant do that? And I was like, well, I didn't think anybody wanted it this year. But it's a joke. I always read it. I get emotional. Certain words I break up over. But that's what history is about. It's about creating, to me, that connection with those that came before us, who helped us become and get to where we are today. Our country would not have been formed without those who gave their lives, their blood, their bodies, their minds to win that freedom and preserve it. So I'm always grateful for it. I love history.
And there's just so much of that out there in the world.
Oh yeah.
And there's a trillion games to play.
Yeah.
You can't obviously visit all the places.
We play more than our share, but we still haven't played all of them. So.
Yeah, but you go to Malta, and there's at least 2 games on this table about Malta.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? There's so much out there. So let us know your favorite places to go.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And then maybe games that tie in with those, games that you've been inspired to play because of places you've been, or conversely, you've been inspired to go to places because of games you've played as well.
I'd love to hear it.
It's always a fascinating discussion, and that's part of the reason that we all love history here and enjoy these games and this style of gaming as well.
Yes, agreed.
Anyway.
Enough.
Yes. We will call it a wrap, but I appreciate you very much for tuning in to our monthly debrief. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.
And I'm Grant.